Hello there boys and girls, Steve the Builder here. Good to have you back in my workshop. This week I'd like to look at space shuttles because last week we were looking at Saturn V rockets and most of the Saturn V rocket got wasted. So we're going to look at shuttles today, and as part of that I want to look at how they're controlled. Do you know when you fly the helicopter you have a lever that you work? Well, when we built the helicopter we put levers in there. I put one on each side so that two people could drive them. Oh, that helicopter's red. Do you know why it's red? That's because it's an old one. I've made two helicopters for the preschool. That was the first one we had many years ago, and it wore out. So much use from pupils, and guess what? I had to make a new one, and I built a new one, and we painted the new one yellow, which you've got today. That's when it was brand new. It looks pretty smart, doesn't it? But what I want you to notice is the control sticks in here. You grab those by the black part and you wiggle them around and the helicopter works that way. I wonder if you noticed when Benny the astronaut was driving his moon rover, he had a control stick in his hand too. Can you see it? When he pushes it forward, the moon rover goes forward, and when he moves it to the sides, the moon rover steers. Well, that's the sort of control lever that they have in the shuttle, and so we're going to look at that today. Now, the space shuttle was invented so that they wouldn't have the waste of the Saturn V. Remember how big the Saturn V was? It's huge. All this way up here was wasted with fuel burn off, and right up, remember, only this little wee triangular piece, this nose cone, came back to Earth, and of course it couldn't bring anything back with it, so that was a waste. So they invented the space shuttle. Now the space shuttle had some big boosters that took it up into space. You can see there's a big shuttle there with wings. It's got 3 big boosters on it, but those could be reused. They drop back down and could be reused, and the shuttle would carry on out into space with its own motors as well, which you can see on the tail right at the bottom here. And then when it wanted to come back to Earth, it didn't just come down with parachutes. It would come in and land like a glider on wheels, just like a jet plane, but without the jets, of course. It would come and land, and then it could be reused. And then while it was in space, it could use this part, this big body part, to take satellites or anything else that was needed up into space. I've got this wonderful photo here of it taken from above, looking down at the ocean below, way up in space. You can see some clouds way down there, and the whole back here is open, like a great big garage. The doors opened out, and look at all the things they could take them to space. If you look carefully, they've got a big arm here as well. That arm was robotically controlled, could reach out and grab things and move them around in space. And then of course when it was finished its project, the doors would shut on the top, and then down it would come flying down and land and then get ready to be used again. Much more sensible than the Saturn V rocket. So what I'm going to do first is make a little cardboard model of the space shuttle. Now I've got the plan and I've put that on the website should Mummy or Daddy want to cut it out. It's quite a lot of work and it's a bit hard for littlies, but in case they'll let you do it, you can use it. I've cut one out, but I glued the plan onto a piece of cardboard first, and look, you can see that I've cut that bit out. That's the body, and I've cut the wing out. I'm just about to cut the tail out here. You can see the tail will fold over, and then the body will fold up like so, and it's going to sit on here, and then the tail is going to fit on there, and we'll have a model that'll be finished. My model's finished. Have a look. Do you know this actually will fly? I just need to put a little bit of weight on the nose and give it a throw and it'll fly along. It's a good wee model. But when it comes into land, the pilots are sitting inside there like an aeroplane, and it comes in from space first of all. Now, you know how we had tiles on the bottom of the nose capsule of the Saturn V? Well, they have the same sort of tiles on these wings because it's going to get really, really hot. So as the shuttle comes in from space, it comes down through the air flat, like this, to slow it down, and the tiles protect it, and lots of flames come off it, but finally it gets through into the air atmosphere, and then the pilot starts to take over flying it, and he flies it like an aeroplane but without a motor. We call that a glider. So he glides it down, and then he comes around, and there's a big airstrip in the desert, and he lines up on the desert, and then he comes into land. The wheels come out like in the photo I showed you, and he comes down and lands in the desert. Now how does he fly it? Well, I've got a picture of the cockpit here. He's sitting in here on the seat. See the two blue seats? There's a pilot on this side, co-pilot on this side. And they've got all their gadgets and dials and buttons so they know what the aircraft's doing, because it's an aircraft now rather than a spacecraft once it's in the air. And they've got a control stick. Can you see that control stick just there? Pretty hard to see, it's so busy, this cockpit. So a box with a little handle on the top, and this is the one over this side, box with the handle on the top. Pretty hard to see, aren't they? This one's a bit clearer on that side. See the little handle? Now he wiggles that to make sure that the plane can fly. Now it's turned from being an aircraft, a spacecraft into an aircraft. When he wiggles the lever over to one side, the aircraft tips over that way. When he wiggles it the other way, the aircraft tips back that way. And so he comes into land. When he pushes it forward, the nose goes down. When he pushes it forward, the nose goes up. And so he finally controls it down until it lands on the ground safe and sound. And then it's got to go to the launch pad again, and it gets stood up on its tail like so. And then they have those big launching rockets, boosters come back and joined on, and it'll be ready to take off again into space. Now tomorrow we'll look at putting some boosters on here for its takeoff. But today we're just going to make ourselves a little control stick like the one in the cockpit, so we can pretend we are driving the space shuttle home. I've found a bottle, and it's got a handle a bit like a control column, isn't it? So you can control the space shuttle in with it. And I've marked around here with a back pen where I'm going to cut, and so I'm going to use some scissors and cut that out. In fact, I've already cut one out of a different bottle, and here it is. So that's going to be our control handle. And what I'm going to do is fit that onto the box, either this box here or a similar other box, and we need something for it to sit on top of. Let's put our buttons on. So I'm going to put that, eventually it's going to go on here, and the handle's going to come on here, so it's going to be ready for flying. And we'll need some knobs as well, which we'll put on here, so we can do some adjusting as we're coming into land. So we'll adjust this as we fly in with our space shuttle. So I'm just going to put a little screw hole through here. And we might put one in the back of this box here. And I've got a little screw that we can use. My container here, take that out. And we might just pop that through this hole here. I think we need a bigger hole, so we might just get a bigger bit. So I'll swap that bit over for a bigger one because that hole's too small. Thought it would be big enough, but I didn't gauge it right. So let's put a bigger hole through. Let's take a big fat one. This one should let the screw go through the hole, shouldn't it? It's much bigger. And we'll do it on here as well. Let's see if the screw fits this time. Yes, that's a good fit. So let's screw that onto here. Put the nut on the other side so it won't come undone. And now we're going to be able to land our space shuttle by holding the control column as it comes into land. We can adjust the nose of the aircraft up and down or to the left and right. So that's going to be part of our cockpit controls. So that's the first stage. So we'll carry on with a bit this tomorrow. We need some buttons on there and I'll fix it onto here. And it'll be ready to go into our space shuttle. Tomorrow we're going to get some rockets to attach onto our space shuttle. We need 3. We need a big one, remember, in the middle and 2 tall ones on the side. And the spaceship's going to go here and then the whole lot blasts off into space and then they drop away. So that's going to be fun tomorrow. We look forward to that. So tomorrow we'll see you. Make sure you're being well behaved for your parents. Until then, bye bye.